Welcome to today's edition of the Statler Financial Radio Show. Your financial security is our business. Have a question for the team? Call today, 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188.
Welcome to the Statler Financial Radio Show with founder and president of Statler Financial Services, Philip Statler. I'm Stephanie Griffin. Philip is based in Sebring and has over 2 decades of experience in the financial industry. Philip helps to manage and grow wealth. So if you'd like to talk to him about turning your savings into a plan, give Statler Financial a call at 863-877-1188. And you can also talk to Philip about his core retirement design, which is a tailored planning approach designed to help retirees build confidence and manage risk in retirement. 863-877-1188. Hello, Philip. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing well, Stephanie. Good to be here. It is, I'm glad that this is tax season's over. Let's just put it that way, right? So,
what a relief.
So finally, I get a little bit of a break here. So that's done and over with. And so now I can take a couple deep breaths and refocus on the financial planning side.
About time for vacation now, hopefully.
It got a few weeks before that happens.
Oh, well, it's coming up though. That's good. Let's do something a little different. The 5 strategic steps to help elevate your retirement savings. I want to know what these steps are. Retirement isn't just about stepping away from work. It's also about keeping the life you love and planning for a confident future. Today, we are joined by Philip Statler to share 5 savvy strategies to help retirement savings work harder. Philip, where should we begin on this?
I don't know, but if you say that fast about 4 or 5 times, that would be impressive.
That's a tongue twister. It really is.
I think, Stephanie, if we look at things, really the first step is to make the most out of your tax advantaged accounts. So things like your 401k or your IRAs. These accounts help you save efficiently by lowering your tax burden. And if you're over 50, then you get some catch-up contributions that can help you really add even more and grow your savings faster.
That's a great starting point, Philip. Now, what is the next step?
Well, I think that step 2 is to really rethink how you're spending now. Let's take a closer look at where your money's going and see if there's some room to shift some of it into retirement accounts instead of spending it.
Right.
The other thing I would say is, pay down debt, right? Let's get debt paid down. Every little move adds up over time. And we want to take that opportunity to make sure that we're fine tuning and putting away as much as we can as we're getting ready to head into retirement.
Right. Kind of baby steps, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Every little move. All right. Well, that's a simple way to keep building your savings. What about timing when it comes to work?
Well, I think that, step 3 would be this. Consider working a little longer. I'll tell you that this is probably one of the issues that we talk about a lot here at Statler Financial. I've got clients that they'll come in at 60. They'll say, hey, look, I think I'm going to retire at 62. I can start drawing my Social Security. And you can, absolutely can. However, that may not be the best for you or your family. And there's a couple reasons why, Stephanie, because if you look at retiring at 62, you're not Medicare age yet.
Right.
So now we've got to plug a hole for 3 years. We've got to plug the health insurance gap. And a lot of folks, when they go and price out their health insurance and what that's going to cost them, they decide it's better to work another 2 or 3 years and get closer to 65.
Mm-hmm.
That way, Medicare kind of takes over that role. But I mean, just the pure fact that Social Security, you can take it anytime after 62. But remember, if you take it before 67, you're taking a big haircut.
Right.
I mean, a big haircut. and that haircut's going to last you the rest of your life. And if you wait longer, to 68, 69, or 70, then you're going to get a raise, 8% raise for every year that you wait past 67. So I think it's important that you really play that out and look to see when is the best time for you in your current circumstances to take Social Security. It shouldn't just be a given at 62 or given at 65. I think you have to weigh those things out and actually put together a plan to see what's going to work best for you.
You are listening to the Statler Financial Radio Show with founder and president of Statler Financial Services, Philip Statler. You can give Philip a call if you would like a tailored financial guidance. He will help you do that. 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Today we are talking about strategic steps to help elevate your retirement savings. Philip, what is that fourth tip anyway?
Well, I think the fourth tip is really about putting extra income to work. If you get a bonus, you get a raise, or even if you get a tax refund, don't just spend it. Mm-hmm. Use it to boost your retirement savings instead. It's all about being intentional with your money and making sure that it is going to work for you. And that way you're better prepared for the time you decide, okay, I'm ready to retire. Let's do it now. I've got enough saved. I've got a plan in place, and let's go ahead and do it. But you got to be intentional about where your money's going.
Right. That's the second time you've said that. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there. It's hard to be intentional with your money. What advice do you have for people who it's so easy for them to spend money like it's going out of style? What would you tell them?
It is easy. And that's the problem, right? And we all have that, sure. I think, for the most part. I mean, there's some very, very frugal people, but I'm not one of them, right? So I have to be very intentional about money. And so I have a plan, here's some things I want to accomplish. I use a bank that lets me build buckets of money in my savings account. I love it. I can put, hey, look, if I want to buy a new vehicle, I got a bucket for my new vehicle.
Right.
I'm looking at maybe, I've got a real old golf cart and I really want to upgrade it. So I've got a bucket for my golf cart. And so I think that's intentionality and then I have a general account and obviously I got my retirement account. So I think it's being intentional about those things. And that way, here's what I'm putting money away for.
Right.
And anything above that just goes towards my retirement accounts.
Well, if you would like to become intentional with your money as well, definitely give Philip Statler a call and talk to him about how you can turn your big cash savings or your savings that you have for retirement into a plan. He will help you do that. Give him a call at 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Yeah, what a great habit to start. And what is that final step today, Philip?
So I'm going to say the final step before I got a couple extras I want to throw in for just good measure.
Sure.
Is that you want to keep an eye on your investment fees, because high fees can eat away at your savings over time. Take the time to check where your money is invested. Look for ways to help reduce unnecessary costs. I know that lately I've talked to several folks that use one of the big name national brand investment management firms, and looking at their fees was really surprising to me when I started really calculating. Folks were paying a lot more than I anticipated this firm charging. But and let's face it, this firm only deals with people that have $500,000 to $1 million or more in investable assets. They don't deal with anybody little. So I was really surprised when I saw their fee schedule and how much they were charging. But everything that you're paying in fees is less money you're making overall. So keep that in mind as we look at getting ready for retirement. One other thing I want to mention, and I mentioned a little earlier, is that we want to do our best to head into retirement with as little to no debt as possible. That is huge. I have seen folks retire, and other than a mortgage, they still have a bunch of credit card debt, automobile debt, and it chokes them. It literally, it really diminishes their retirement because they either have to take way too much money out of their retirement accounts and pay that stuff off, and they don't have enough to live off the cash flow, or two, they're having to take extra out every month to make those payments. Please do your best. Try really, really hard. Make it a goal to retire debt-free as much as we can, debt-free. If not a mortgage, but let's not have any credit card debt as we head into retirement. It is a big anchor,
right?
And it will drag you down as you head into it. But that's kind of one of the final things I wanted to throw out there, Stephanie.
So people with, let's say you don't have any debt, but you do have the mortgage still and you have a little bit of money. Do you pay that mortgage off when you go into retirement? What's your advice there?
So it really depends upon what the interest rate is on that mortgage.
Right.
If you're fortunate and you've got one of those 3% mortgages, I'd never pay it off.
Right. Just keep making the payment.
I just keep making the payment because you should be able to make more than 3% on your investments over time. So hopefully, though, your mortgage is pretty close to being paid off.
Right. I would think by retirement, for most people at least.
You'd be surprised, Stephanie. You'd be surprised how many people go into retirement with a mortgage.
Is there any other final advice before we move to our next segment?
I think that hopefully these steps will help you make some savvy decisions so that you can have that retirement that you've always dreamed of. And it's really a process. And if you're looking for guidance, listen, our team here at Statler Financial, we're here to help you create a plan that works for your goals. And I've said it a lot. If you listen on the show, folks, you need to have some kind of plan. Less than 30% of the folks out there listening right now have any kind of retirement plan at all. Folks, don't let that be one of you. It's a simple phone call to get that process started. And it's something that you need to have. You need to have a retirement income plan in place so that you know where your money's coming from, how long it's going to last. Do you need to tweak something? Do you need to make changes before you retire? Don't go into retirement without a plan. And if you've recently retired, or if you've been retired for, I'm going to say, the 5 years before and the 5 years after retirement are vitally important. You need to make sure that you've planned everything out during that process. It's easy to get started. All you have to do is call my office at 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. I'd love to spend 30 minutes with you to make sure that you're on the right path to the retirement you always dreamed of.
All right, Philip Statler from Statler Financial Services. A lot of great information to start off the show today. And the Statler Financial Radio Show will be right back. Turn your plans of yesterday into yes today. Don't wait another day for a routine checkup of your retirement plans. Call Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Surprise parties can be fun. Financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services and schedule a no-cost retirement double check at 863-877-1188. Philip and his team have seen their fair share of surprises over the years and know how to help you avoid them. Call 863-877-1188 to schedule your no-cost retirement double check with Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Call 863-877-1188 now. That's 863-877-1188. You can also visit StatlerFinancial.com for more info. Advisory services are offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Time time to retire right. This is the Statler Financial Radio Show.
Imagine a master carpenter showing up to a job site with the most expensive tools money can buy, those titanium hammers and high-end saws, but no blueprints. Without a plan, those tools are just useless. So many people approach retirement the same way. They have financial tools like 401ks and IRAs, but no actual strategy to build a confident future. Welcome back to the Statler Financial Radio Show with founder and president of Statler Financial Services, Philip Statler. Philip, help us understand this analogy. What is the fundamental difference between having a portfolio of financial products and having a true retirement plan?
Well, I like that analogy. I mean, that is true. I look at it sometimes as a junk drawer as well. Think of it this way, that the investments and products like annuities, variable annuities, real estate investment trusts, those are products. Think of those things as tools. So, stocks maybe are hammers, annuities are saws. Well, a portfolio is just that, it's a toolbox. But having that toolbox there, I can open it up, I can look, but do you know which tool to use at what point in time? And that's where the blueprint comes into play. That blueprint tells the contractor how to use those tools and what to use those tools for. And let's face it, without a blueprint, folks, you're just guessing. If you don't have a plan, you're just guessing about how your retirement is going to work out. That's not a good place to start.
So is that true that tools we use during our working years, like the shovel for savings, aren't the same tools we need for retirement? Things look a little different in retirement, I guess, right?
I'm going to say absolutely. Stephanie, that's probably one of the biggest things and issues I see when I sit down with folks who are getting ready to transition from working to retirement. Or they've just made the transition, or they made the transition 3 or 4 years ago. The problem is they have not changed the tools that they're using for their investments and for their retirement planning. And that is a problem. So some tools are great when you're in that accumulation phase. That accumulation phase is when you're working, and they work great for that. But retirement, when we hit retirement, that is no longer the accumulation phase. Now we're in the distribution phase. We're going to start taking money out of our investments, not put money in. So you're building the house to meet many needs in retirement. Need specific tools for liquidity, income, and growth. But more important is that you have a blueprint or a plan to make sure that you get it right. You don't want to build the house and then look at the plans and say, oh, I forgot to do this. That would not go well.
I forgot the bathroom, darn it.
That's right. That would not go well.
You can text Philip if you have questions about what your retirement looks like. Text VISIT to 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Now let's talk about that construction process. How can you help clients organize their assets so they aren't using a hammer when they really need a saw?
Well, another analogy that we like to look at is a bucket strategy, and that can help, right? So we'll look at different buckets for different things that we're going to have to pull money out for. So we'll have a liquidity bucket for accessible cash. We'll have an income bucket that's going to provide some reliable monthly paychecks. We're going to have a growth bucket to help fight inflation. The right tool for the right job is vitally important, Stephanie. It just is. And so often over my 20 plus year career at this, I see people using the wrong tools in retirement. And it seems like it would be simple, but it's really not. It's a different strategy, a different philosophy, a different methodology. And that's why I created the Core Retirement Design, to help people design that retirement they always dreamed of by looking at 3 key components heading into retirement. That's risk, taxes, and income. All 3 of those things play a vital role when we start to change gears from accumulation to distribution. Let me help you through that process. 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188.
And you can also go to statlerfinancial.com. We are talking about the tools you use while you are working. They're different than when you retire. So it seems clear that creating a comprehensive retirement income strategy requires specialized knowledge and tools, Philip, don't you think?
It does. You need, like I said, we need a whole different mindset. When we're working and accumulating assets, then we can use certain tools to do that. But when you switch and we're no longer working, we have no longer income coming in, and now we have to rely on our retirement portfolios to create that income, the mindset needs to change. And too often we don't see that, unfortunately. And so it's one of those things that the tools need to change, the strategies need to change. And we just don't see that as much as we would like to.
So how do you help someone determine if their current retirement plan is optimized for the new challenges they have?
Well, I think we go through our process and that core retirement design where we measure those three key components to retirement. Is our risk number right? Do we have enough risk, but not too much risk? We don't want to have too much risk, which is what we see a lot of times heading into retirement, is people have more risk in their portfolio than they really should. I met with somebody a couple weeks ago, and they've been, kind of taking care of some of it themselves. They use a couple different advisors, but everything they had was pretty much at risk, except for a few CDs they had. And so we want to make sure that we are taking care and making sure that we have the right amount of risk and not too much risk. We want to make sure our taxes are taken care of. And then we want to make sure we've got income, because income's what pays the bills.
So a lot of complexities out there. The new tax bill, inflation, market volatility. It can be pretty difficult to know if your advisor is doing a good job. Is there an easy way to figure this out, Philip, by maybe getting a second opinion? Would that be the best option?
I think it is. It's definitely a good option. To make sure that you've got everything lined up the way it needs to be, to make sure that everything's going to be taken care of. Like I said, we've been dealing with a lot of folks that have lost loved ones lately. And so we want to make sure that everything's going to transition as easily as possible. Should that occur, or when that occurs, we all going to pass away eventually. So I think that's an area that we try to look at for sure. And I think that's one of the things that people just need to have on the radar.
So, Philip, how might someone's retirement plan mirror what you have when you're building a house?
Well, I think that's an interesting question, Stephanie, because when I think about it, right, one of the things that's very, very important when we build a house is the foundation. We need to have a firm foundation. And that foundation in the financial world is going to be income. We need to have income, because if we've got a firm income base, then we can weather some storms. That means we can weather the market going up and down if our income is sufficient and going to take care of all our needs. So the foundation is kind of the income, and let's jump to the walls, right? We got to have walls, and our walls are going to really be something in between, right? We need something that is not really risky, because we need those walls to stand up. And so we look at that as, things that may produce income, a dividend portfolio, an income that may produce some income to those type of things. And then the ceiling, the roof over our head is, maybe we got a stock portfolio for growth, that we can grow a little bit so that we don't have to worry about what inflation is going to do to us. We want that there to take care of providing down the road. And so I think that kind of puts together the assembly of what that house looks like. So we look at that, and I think is important so many people that I sit down with, and I'll put a number to it, right? So, in my long career, there have been maybe a handful, I mean, maybe five, literally maybe five people that have come into me and said, yes, Philip, I have an income plan. I have a retirement plan in place.
Wow.
And they'll show it to me. Here it is.
That's it, huh?
Five in 20 plus years. So I know statistically out there, very, very few of you have a plan. And really, you need to have that plan so you know what you're building and to make sure it's going to last as long as you need it to. And that's why I developed this core retirement design. It helps people really design that retirement they always dreamed of. Give us a call at 863-877-1188. And as Stephanie said, you can go to our website at statlerfinancial.com. There's actually a link there to my calendar. Schedule a 30-minute phone call where we'll look to see how you're doing. And maybe you're on the right track. Maybe you're doing well. You got everything taken care of. If you are, that's great. I'm going to tell you, I'll be proud to say, hey, look, you've got it together. You don't need my help. You can just keep doing what you're doing. But if I see holes or I see things that are missing, I'm going to let you know. Here's some things I think you need to look at. Here's some things I think you need to change. And if I can help you, I'm going to let you know. If I can't, I'll show you the way. Here's some places you can go check out to get the help you need. It's that simple, folks. It really is that simple. And I hate to see it when folks don't have it all together. My goal is I want everybody within our radio listening area to have a plan in place. I don't want anybody to fail in retirement. Give me a call, 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188.
And the Statler Financial Radio Show will be right back.
Needing a second opinion on your retirement plan or to see if you're paying more than your fair share to Uncle Sam? Schedule your complimentary visit today. Text VISIT to 863-877-1188. That's VISIT to 863-877-1188.
Surprise parties can be fun. Financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services and schedule a no-cost retirement double check at 863-877-1188. Philip and his team have seen their fair share of surprises over the years and know how to help you avoid them. Call 863-877-1188 to schedule your no-cost retirement double check with Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Call 863-877-1188 now. That's 863-877-1188. You can also visit statlerfinancial.com for more info. Advisory services are offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Welcome back to the Statler Financial Radio Show with founder and president of Statler Financial Services, Philip Statler. I'm Stephanie Griffin, and we have been discussing how to turn a mix of financial tools into a fortress of security. But even the best built house faces threats from the elements, specifically inflation and taxes. Of course, the big topic there. Philip, you call inflation the silent demolition crew. How does a static retirement plan fail when faced with the rising cost of living?
Well, Stephanie, being too conservative can cause a loss of purchasing power every year. And inflation, the last few years has been huge. And so I think that people who have not been in the market, who've just been in interest-bearing instruments, which has been better than it's ever been, well, not ever, but better than it's been in a long, long time, right? They have not kept up with purchasing power. And let's face it, the things we see at the grocery store, they're not getting any cheaper. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Yes.
So being, as one of the things I say, look, being too conservative is not good. But also being too risky is not good either. We need a good balance there to protect our purchasing power. But again, that comes to being too conservative. Because inflation really chips away at that foundation. In other words, your income buys less and less every week for sometimes it feels like anyway. And you need a portion of your portfolio in equities. I'll tell you, I have 90-year-olds and we may not have much, but we have a little bit in an equity portfolio for growth because they can still live another 10 years, right? So we need to make sure they help keep pace with inflation, and that's really the big deal. We don't want to just match it. We want to beat inflation. And so really the key, as I always say, is finding that right balance for you. How much risk, how much safety do I need? And that's really, Stephanie, I guess that's why I built my system, my core retirement design and the process, because it helps really kind of figure out what that right balance needs to be. And it's funny because if I'm talking to somebody that's really aggressive out here, and I talk about the right balance,
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh no, I don't want to give up, all those growth stocks. I don't want to give up that much stuff." But yet we need to come back to center. And if I'm sitting there talking to somebody that is very, very conservative or really risk adverse, it's like, nah, I don't want to put any money in the market. I don't want to put them in the market. But yet we need to put something there to help fight inflation. And so it's finding that right balance to move people forward and still stay within their comfort level.
Right. Everybody's balance is different too. So call Philip at 863-877-1188 or go to statlerfinancial.com and set up your appointment with Philip Statler. Social Security is one of the few assets that actually adjust for inflation. So how can you help clients optimize this benefit with their broader blueprint?
Well, yeah, they do. They get cost of living adjustments. Sometimes they don't look like they're enough. Sometimes you think, wow, maybe I'm catching up for a year or two. So yes, they do get that COLA adjustment. And let's face it, Social Security provides guaranteed lifetime income. It's going to pay until you die. And if you do it right and you look at it with that in mind, that if something happens to me, my spouse is going to get this for the rest of their life, right? And as a man, I feel like I will probably pass away first. And so it's really important that when I get there, which is still a few years away, I want to make the right decisions so that when something happens to me, Joyce will have the highest amount possible to pay for living expenses. And so, that's where I think it's important that we optimize those benefits as best we can, balancing out what we need today for what we might need down the road.
So, Philip, many people assume their Social Security is tax-free. I'm sure you have a lot of clients coming in thinking that, but it's not the case, right? So how did the 2025 tax law affect those benefits?
Well, that's funny, Stephanie, it really is, because I have people that think once they retire, they shouldn't have to file a tax return anymore.
I agree.
Um,
That would be great, wouldn't it?
But they do, unless now I have a few, right, that are just getting Social Security for the most part. Up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxable, anywhere from 0 to 85%. It's a complicated formula to determine what that number is. But believe me, it's there, and people end up paying more than they think they do. Now, with the big beautiful bill that was passed in 2025, seniors got this little extra added bonus deduction of up to $6,000 a piece. However, two things. One, it expires in 2028, so it's a short-term deal. Second, it's income based. So if you're fortunate and you've got some decent income in retirement, you may not get all $6,000 each. It may dwindle away. It may dwindle all the way to nothing. So just so you know, it's not guaranteed to be the 6,000. It's based on your income. We got taxable thresholds there. So we've got that. And we need to manage other income sources to keep Uncle Sam away from your benefits. So if we have a lot of interest income that we're paying taxes on, we need to figure out a way not to pay taxes on that money right now. And make sure that we're using the right order when it comes to drawing down our assets. It's all part of our planning process, Stephanie.
And if you want to talk to Philip about that, please give him a call. You can also text the word visit to 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Now, the one big beautiful bill, it's pretty complex. It can be difficult to know if a plan is optimized. How can you help your clients, Philip, evaluate their current tax strategy?
Well, I think the first thing is review their current tax situation, right? Where are they at? What are they, what tax bracket are they on? Given these extra little benefits we have for a limited time, how does that play into their situation? Analyze their Social Security, find out what their provisional income is, and are they going to have to pay the IRMA tax? People say, what's the IRMA tax? IRMA tax is when you make so much money that now Medicare increases your Medicare Part B premium. People say, well, I didn't know they could do that. Well, here's the deal, and most people don't know this, is that your Medicare Part B premium is income-based. And the more you make, the higher the premium is. And it can go from, I think the around $200 people are paying now, it can go all the way up to almost $600 a month that people have to pay for their Medicare Part B premium. So it's an area we need to be watching and consistently monitoring to make sure that we know where we are when it comes to those IRMA levels. We want to optimize, for some potential tax advantages from a charitable giving standpoint. If you're 70 and a half, how are we maximizing our giving by using our IRA to do it? Are you being as tax efficient as possible? A lot of our clients are using what we call qualified charitable distributions out of their IRAs for their charitable giving. It is huge tax benefits when it comes to that. And I would tell you, if you are not doing that and you are over the age of 70 and a half, you really need to investigate that, especially if you are very charitably minded. The other thing I would say is consider structuring your retirement income so that you maximize the tax drag. How do you do that? Well, it's putting together that plan, knowing where you're going to take money from, what that drawdown order is going to be. And then lastly, and we did some of this last year for clients, is do some tax loss harvesting. Coming into the end of the year, where can I, take some losses to reduce my gains or put me in a better tax situation? All these are things that we walk our clients through and help them through those processes to make sure that we're paying the least amount of taxes we possibly can. And it's all part of our core retirement design. Folks, listen, if you saved at least $500,000 for retirement, it is important that you have a plan in place, that blueprint we've been talking about. You need to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you might flounder through retirement, and we don't want that to happen. Secondly, we want to make sure we've got strategies in place for taxes and take advantage of everything we can when it comes to the tax situation you're in. And then income, we want to have income. We need to make sure we've got income put in place that we can't outlive. If something happens to one spouse, the other spouse is taken care of. Those are important things we need to make sure that we're looking at and overcoming. Give us a call at 863-877-1188. That's 863-877-1188. Don't waste time. Don't put it off to tomorrow. Folks, you need to have a plan in place. It's that simple. Give me a call. Let's get started today. 863-877-1188.
The Statler Financial Radio Show will be right back.
Surprise parties can be fun.
Surprise!
Financial surprises? Not so much. Especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services and schedule a no-cost retirement double check at 863-877-1188. Philip and his team have seen their fair share of surprises over the years and know how to help you avoid them. Call 863-877-1188 to schedule your no-cost retirement double check with Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Call 863-877-1188 now. That's 863-877-1188. You can also visit StatlerFinancial.com for more info. Advisory services are offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Sounds like the mailman's here.
It's time to answer questions from the Statler Financial Mailbag.
Welcome back to the Statler Financial Radio Show with founder and president Philip Statler. Give Philip a call at 863-877-1188. You can also go online, find out about Philip and his team. You could go online to statlerfinancial.com. Now it is time to dive into our mailbag questions. That term, Philip, seems a little outdated, don't you think? Mailbag?
Yeah. Now stuff comes via, email.
Right. Maybe email questions. There we go. Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, it is time then. We're going to open our Statler Financial mailbag and go over some common retirement questions. Now, our first question today, Philip, is from Ruth in Avon Park. I've been worrying about long-term care coverage. Is insurance the best bet, or should I be looking at other options? Very nice question.
Well, that's a good question. And it becomes one of the things that's top of mind for a lot of folks, especially if they've been dealing with a family member that's just gone through that. And so it's a hard question to answer, Ruth, because there are options and it really depends on your financial circumstances, right? I think it's an area that people need to definitely look at. They should at least price it out, see what it looks like for their circumstances. But here's what I would say. Don't buy a policy that lags on benefits, that is short term, because typically you're paying for something you won't get much benefit out of. So one thing I would caution on that. The other is there are other options out there, right? There are annuities that will give you double or triple the benefit for long-term care. There's life insurance policies that will allow you to take, a chunk of that benefit for long-term care. So Ruth, there are other options out there. Now, which option is best for you? I don't know. Unless we sit down together and kind of really look at where you are and how we can really focus your current circumstances to help protect you from that long-term care issue that could be looming down the road.
We have another question. Jeff from Lake Placid. I'm in a bit of a panic because my company is letting a lot of people go. That could be very scary. I've actually been through that working in radio all these years, so I can relate to this one. Retirement has been on my horizon for a year or two now, but I don't know what to do if I'm let go. So should I just bite the bullet and retire before they have the chance to let me go? He's trying to think ahead of the game, I guess.
So just off the top of my head, I would say that no, and unless they're going to offer you some kind of severance package, right? If there's a severance package involved, then maybe you have to weigh the pros and cons of the severance package to do that. But if you go ahead and retire, then you're saying, okay, I'm done. If you let them, quote unquote, let you go, then now you can apply for unemployment benefits. So, it may not be ideal. You may have to still be looking for work, but it may be an option to give you, 12, 16 weeks, something like that, of unemployment benefits. So that would be an option. But I would tell you, if you think that is a possibility, now's the time to start to put a plan in place for what could occur. You want to have some kind of retirement income plan in place so you know where your 401k is going to go when you're no longer employed. If you have other investments, how am I going to use those to create that income that I'm going to need in retirement? These are all important things. And it sounds like, it's going to come kind of all of a sudden. So having a plan today, you may have to tweak it when it actually happens, but at least having the baseline now really gives you a head start to kind of put together that plan and know, here's the things I need to do if and when that happens.
These are some great questions that our listeners are coming up with, and also great answers from you, Philip. If anybody'd like to get a hold of Philip, you can text the word VISIT to 863-877-1188. That number again is 863-877-1188. Text the word VISIT. Go in for your complimentary visit with Philip Statler, president and founder of the Statler Financial Services. And you are listening to the Statler Financial Radio Show. We've got our mailbag questions. And Jamie from Sebring, I've got grandkids I adore, and I want to make sure they're able to have a great education. What are some ways I can contribute to their education without jeopardizing my retirement?
Great question. But here's, Stephanie, before I answer that, I just want to kind of lay a little bit of groundwork before I get to the question.
Of course.
It's easy to schedule some time with us, right? It's a phone call. You don't have to make the trip in. You don't have to be sitting at your house waiting for a video. It's you and I on the phone, really, that making sure that you've got everything lined up for retirement. It's that simple. And if you've got everything planned out just right, I'll tell you, hey, you've done a great job. Here's maybe one or two things I might tweak, but you're good to go. You don't need my help. Other folks, though, I'm going to look at your situation and say, look, you really need my help. And here's how we can help you. So please don't think that you have to do it on your own. I'm here to help. And it's simple. Like Stephanie said, it's a phone call, right? 863-877-1188 to get on our calendar. So I just wanted to lay that out. Sometimes people are afraid to pick up the phone and call. And so I just want to kind of hopefully relax people to know, hey, it's not a big deal. It's you and I on the phone having a conversation.
And you're an easy guy to talk to. So that does help. That does help. It really does.
So, all right, let's get to the question here. How can we help educate our grandchildren? You need to have your retirement plan set first, right? You need to have, hey, look, here's my strategy for retirement. Here's my income plan. Here's where I'm at. And then we can say, okay, what can we contribute to our grandchildren's education? And it may not be a lump sum at one time. It may be, hey, look, I got to make some contributions to a 529 plan. Or I might have to take a state-funded, retirement plan, and maybe I have to pay it over a couple years to make it work. Those are all things that we can work through in the planning process. But the key part is the plan. You have to have a plan first before we can work through making those adjustments for our grandchildren. And so I would just say that it's possible. We just need a plan in place to make it happen. And that's the way with a lot of things, right? I want to take a big trip. Perfect. Let's make sure we have a plan in place.
That's right.
To fund that great trip. So it's doable. We just have to have all the circumstances and the framework to make sure it does happen.
Randy from Venus has a very important question for you. My wife and I have always wanted to run a small bed and breakfast after we retired. And now that we've got some time on our hands, we're really thinking about that bed and breakfast dream. But is it too dicey to get into the hospitality business these days because of things like inflation and stress? We're not quite ready to let go of this dream yet. So what do you think? What's some good advice for them, Philip?
You know, you want to think long and hard, right? About starting something like that. It sounds pretty cool, right? Maybe you got a working ranch or something that can be part of the B&B. That would be pretty cool, right? But the hospitality business is a tough business to be in. And so you got to really kind of weigh the pros and cons there. Not only just the inflation and the stress, but what does it do to your lifestyle, right? Now we may be captive to that property, having to be there on a regular basis, not being able to really take time off and enjoy our retirement. So I think that, like I said, you got to really weigh the pros and cons before you really jump into that. It might be fun and you might be able to say, okay, we'll do it for these certain weekends or weeks, but you need to understand what you're biting off, because it could be a big deal, Randy. And I'd hate to see you get stuck and not really be able to enjoy your retirement.
You want to talk a little bit about taxes, Philip, maybe how your tax appointments look like for folks who are listening?
Absolutely, because that is an area that we don't talk about much on the show. But we don't only do, have a financial planning practice, but we're also partners, me personally, partners in a tax firm called Heartland Tax and Accounting. So we actively are doing tax returns. So if you're out there and you need some help when it comes to taxes, or you're trying to figure out the new tax laws, how they can help you, would love to sit down with you with that and help walk you through those things. A lot of our investment clients are also our tax clients. So that makes it easy to really kind of combine those two things and do the planning that it needs for both those things, to make sure that, we're looking out for the taxes and the investment side at the same time. So that's always something good to look for. And it's easy. Give us a call, 863-877-1188. You can schedule your tax appointment. More importantly, though, I'd like to make sure that you have a retirement plan in place, that you have an income plan, that income plan that's going to get you from now through the rest of your life, knowing that you have enough income coming in. It's important. It's important to me to make sure that all the folks out there that I can encourage and help put together a plan so that they can retire with confidence. Give us a call to get started. Again, that number is 863-877-1188. 863-877-1188. I'd love to spend 30 minutes with you. Give us a call.
Thank you so much, Philip. We appreciate that. And join us next week again for the Statler Financial Radio Show.
Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. This radio show is a paid placement.